Hi, my name is Harmony. I'm a top 500 Symmetra player, and today I'll be looking at this Symmetra game from MessyQween, who is currently in silver with Symmetra.
Two, one. Round one. Capture the objective.
So, when I'm playing a Koth map, as a general rule of thumb, I either teleport out of the spawn door so that my entire team can get to point faster, or I use TP at the beginning of the fight. Most of the time it's the former option, because it provides an advantage to my entire team. And for most Koth maps, I don't necessarily have a plan to initiate with TP from the get-go. So in this situation, I would tell my team to take TP as soon as they leave the spawn door. And I would tell my Lucio to not amp speed until everyone has taken the TP. Because, you know, most Lucios will amp speed as soon as the spawn door opens so everyone gets to point faster, but there's no point in amping speed if you have to wait that 1 second for TP to deploy. So yeah, here I would TP out of spawn.
No. Not here. I require assistance. I need help. I require assistance.
So right now, a good way to use turrets on attack is to set them up on your side of the choke or in your territory, even if it's not directly on the objective or where the enemy might push. So, for example, I might place turrets like in these bushes or up here, up here, up here, especially if the enemy has a Lucio who might want to roll right around here, or really anyone. Or if a Wrecking Ball might want to engage and then roll away, the turrets might help. But right here, you're going to go through most of the fight without using any turrets at all, and that's really not what you want to be doing. Here, I'll show the rest of the fight.
The objective is now.
This is not the time.
Right now, it's almost a minute into the match, and you haven't used any turrets at all. Compare that to if you place turrets on your side of the choke before the fight even started. You could have had 3 turrets on the battlefield, and then your cooldown would have started. Remember, it's 10 seconds for 1 turret. All of your turrets would have regenerated by now, meaning you would have 3 turrets in the field and 3 turrets in reserve. So there's no disadvantage to placing turrets as soon as you get to the objective, even if they're not going to get immediate value.
Enemy turret destroyed.
Require healing. Yati karambasta vikahe. Fences in place. My path grows. I am on fire. Enemy turret destroyed.
I mostly like that play, actually. Earlier in that fight, you did a good job of phasing out their diva with your orbs and your beam. And you used wall to protect yourself, which is fine, because you had control of the objective. And then you throw all 3 turrets. out when you went on the offensive, you placed all 3 turrets right here. And using turrets offensively like that can be good, but you should try to spread your turrets out more instead of having them all 3 on the wall right here. For example, if you threw like one on the floor, or over here on a different part of the wall, or even over here. Because if they're all in the same location like this, then it's very easy for the enemy to kill them all quickly. The enemy has a Pharah here, for example, and the splash damage from her rockets she can kill more than one turret with a single rocket if they're close enough together. And even if the enemy doesn't have a splash damage, then the turrets that are close together, they're still easier to kill than turrets that are spread apart. So using turrets offensively like that is good, but as far as general turret placing guidelines, try to spread them out further.
Much better. Teleporter online. I have opened the path. Sentry online.
These are good turret spots.
Teleporter online. Removing equipment. Yahi Parambasta Vektahe. Systems optimal. Helden sterben nicht. TV Special Attack.
In this situation, your Mercy just died. Here, let me go back a few seconds.
Helden sterben nicht. TV
Your Mercy just died. So immediately, you need to be backing up to point, not going aggressive. Going aggressive, it could work out in your favor. If you trade 2 for 1, that is, you're able to get like 1 or 2 kills, and then you die. But that's generally not worth it. If your Mercy dies, then your Mercy was pocketing you earlier, so you know that you're not going to have enough sustain to keep going in. So what I would do here, I would see that my teammate is dead, and I would immediately back up to point. You currently have control of the point right now, so your best option is just to try to defend point and get as much control as you can. I mean, you try to kill the Ana here, but she's being healed by the Mercy, so there's nothing you can really do, and you just wait until they can kill you.
My work is not complete. My teleporter is online. हम सामंजस्य में हैं.
Again, right here, just like at the beginning of the round that I talked about, this would be a good time to set up turrets. They don't even have to be on the point. They could be right here, right here, right here, so that once the enemy takes point, if they continue to push forward onto your side, then the turrets will start hitting them, and you would be able to deal with that easier. You don't want to be keeping 3 turrets in reserve for extended periods of time. You want to get that cooldown going, so that you can have more turrets.
सामंजस्य में हैं. No. No.
This is a good example of how those turrets might be useful. Right now you're taking the fight at this choke. If you had turrets at this choke, then you probably would have won that fight by now.
The battle continues.
I am taking the
I
objective.
will follow my
Join
path.
me.
Turret deployed.
This is the same thing when I talked about earlier. You don't want to keep all 3 turrets in the same place like this, because they're easier to destroy.
I'm taking care.
Okay, they did just get 2 kills, but that's because this is silver. And that's fine if you want to stay in silver. It's gonna get those cheesy kills like that, but if you want to play Symmetra like someone who is climbing an SR, then you don't want to group turrets together like that. A more optimal turret setup, for example, would be like 1 turret like right here, 1 turret right here, and then 1 turret like on the floor. If I want to have turrets on the same wall like this, then I like to have 1 turret really high and 1 turret really low. You don't want to keep turrets at eye level like this, because if the enemy player is looking at eye level, then they don't have to move their crosshair in order to kill these turrets. But if the turrets are like up here, then they have to look up to kill this one, and then they have to look down to kill this one.
My servants never die. A second chance. Sterben nicht. Symmetra.
Also, I want to mention to anyone else watching this who is also in silver, I would recommend looking at your sensitivity. In this case, the player and I already talked about this in private, but this player has a really high sensitivity, and if you're in silver and you're playing Symmetra, chances are that you do too. You can calculate your EDPI by multiplying your in-game sensitivity, right here, by your mouse DPI, which is in your mouse software settings. In my case, my DPI is 1400 and my in-game sensitivity is 4. And multiply those together, that means my EDPI is 5600, which is fine. It's good even. I mean, it's higher than the average DPS player, but it's low enough that it allows me to be accurate with Symmetra. I wouldn't recommend a sensitivity any higher than 10,000 EDPI. As far as players who are good at aiming are concerned, that's already a very high sensitivity. But in this case, the Symmetra player here, their EDPI was around 30,000, which is extremely high. And as you could have seen, their mouse movements were really like sporadic and sometimes inaccurate. So in general, with lower sensitivities, although it's you'll have to get used to moving your wrist more, it's so much easier to be accurate with a lower sensitivity. So my recommendation to this Symmetra player was to decrease their sensitivity.
No.
A momentary lapse.
Score 0-1. 1. Round 2. Capture the objective.
Barrier in place.
My will made real.
So, like last round, as soon as you get to the objective, you should be looking to set up turrets. The turrets don't have to be necessarily on the objective, you just have to use them so that you can get the cooldown started so you can have more turrets. And more turrets is more value coming from Symmetra.
I am at the objective.
Same
We
thing
must
here.
take it quickly.
Don't put all 3 turrets in the same spot. Also, instead of having this turret at eye level, either put it higher or put it lower.
I can do some assistance. Nice.
Get into position.
And now that you have control of the objective, something I like to do is have a defensive placed TP that I can have like placed before the fight begins. Something that it will help me spam from 2 different angles, or something that just might help me survive. You did this last objective, where you were at the enemy's side of the objective at the choke, and then you placed the TP back to your side where it was safe, and you used it to escape the bomb. This was what I would look to do. I might place a TP like from one side of the objective to the other, or like from here to the back, or from here to here. In general, placing a TP on 2 different sides of the objective is not too bad. But depending on your style, you don't have to place a defensive TP like that. You could save TP and just keep it with you so that you can use it aggressively. Or not at all, if you don't need to. That's a very good example of why those turrets are bad. You can luck out and get cheesy kills like you did last round, but at the same time, that Reinhardt just destroyed all 3 turrets with 1 hammer swing, and that is what you don't want to see. Remember, 1 turret is 10 seconds of cooldown, so with just 1 left click, he effectively got rid of 30 seconds of your cooldowns. This is a pretty good wall, because, well, it forced any healers who were playing over here to have to walk forward in order for them to heal the Reinhardt. But you still ended up losing the fight, because the enemy had a good shatter, but they also had coalescence, which goes through your photon barrier. Remember, coalescence pierces any barriers, so it doesn't matter if the Moira's on the other side or not.
My ultimate is ready.
My servants never die.
Enemies in our orbit.
This is a very good TP bomb spot. If you're like right here, the enemy doesn't necessarily see you, but you can get a good TP onto their backline. Say if you TP like right here or right here. This is like an ideal TP bomb spot Because if you place turrets on the ground here, then TP them, then the enemy isn't going to see you placing the turrets, but you can get a good spot to place the TP where the turrets will be on them. Let's see what you do here. You've got all 3 turrets in reserve here. Again here, being aggressive with the turrets is okay, but you place them all 3 in the same spot, which is not okay. But your team ends up managing to win the fight. Right now, I would use TP to get back from spawn faster.
Teleporter online.
Okay.
I have opened the bar. Turret online.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
I don't think there was much for you to do that fight. The enemy had a lot of ultimates.
Get into position.
Same thing as last round. I would start placing turrets. Make sure that the enemy can't come forward and kill you. Maybe like right here, right here, right here.
Photon barrier ready for deployment.
Barrier in place.
This will restore you.
Enemy in our orbit.
Surrender to my will. This will restore alignment.
Raksha Pranali Symmetra.
Victory.
Okay. So, I definitely think it wouldn't be too hard for you to get into gold and start climbing. The main issue I see is with your turret placement. You need to get down turret placing fundamentals, including placing turrets either high up near the floor, meaning not at eye level, and spreading out your 3 turrets, not placing them on the same spot so they can't be killed all at once. Your photon projector work was good. You knew when to use orbs and when to use beam. Your teleporter work, it was fine. Teleport is one of the more advanced aspects of Symmetra. So, in order for you to get into gold and higher, I wouldn't, what I saw here is mostly fine. So yeah, I hope this helped you, and good luck in your future games.